it's quite clear that Ange is getting it from a few different places, and then he's getting it from reputable press corps, and so I just think he's going, is this real? Am I genuinely being asked if I'm up for losing this game? Like, is this real?
I don't think they said that though, Brace.
No, I know, but I know, but look how he didn't even anything he even said after the game. If I'm really honest, I didn't think he was calling out fans I didn't interpret like that. So this is what I mean about everything is interpretive. Do you know what I mean?
Inside and outside.
Yes. So, but inside could be just someone it could be a chef going, "Oh, play the kids." Like I just think he's got it from a whole different places that in this kind of situation you should lose the game, and I think that just is so offensive to him from his sports mentality that he's just saying,
But Brains, can I ask you a question, right? And genuinely, do you not feel that Ange enjoyed the roller coaster ride at the beginning of, everyone loves Ange, everyone wishes Ange was his manager? Look at me, player of the manager of the month, breaking records, everything was great. Since it started to go the other way,
yes,
we've seen angry Ange. We've seen Ange who, instead of killing a conversation dead, has almost consistently lit the fire underneath himself. Okay, and he hasn't put out the fires. He's thrown fuel onto the fire. He hasn't tried to quell conversations and topics, whether it be set pieces. I'm not interested in top four.
Yes,
there's no trophy for top four. There's no. So when you keep going on about that, and we're watching and witnessing defeats, and I'm going to Liverpool and I'm hearing him say that, I saw some progression. I didn't see progression. So by the time we arrive at the Man City game, it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You've told us not to worry about top four. Top four is not important. Champions League, there's no medal for this. There's no. I've got bigger ambitions. So the fans have almost got to the stage where we don't believe in it, and now we're actually in that mindset. He's criticising us for it, and I just wonder, maybe Ange, look at what you're saying to the press, that you are the one that's making it worse for yourself. And what he did.
Look at how things are interpretive, because when I was actually, and these guys will tell you, I've been quite vitriolic against Ange a lot this season. Like, I'm being honest with you. I've never said Ange out. I think it's important that when you when you disagree with a manager's decision, like yes, you're right. You should be angry about it, and I totally feel fine about that. And so I was very much like getting so annoyed consistently with him refusing certain things. And this just happened to be one occasion with what he said turned me back on him. I don't know why. I actually liked what he said. So this is what I mean about people have different views of it. And I don't know why it's so different, but like
you don't understand what I'm saying, though, Bray. What I'm saying
I totally get what you're saying, though. I totally do.
You can kill it. You can kill the conversation when you say you don't care about, when you're not, your focus is not on set pieces.
And I agree with you.
Game after game, you're conceding set pieces. What's Charlie Eccleshare going to say? Ange, it's another set piece. What have you got to say about it?
It's like, I don't care. I agree with that. And that's actually a lot of the stuff that I have been ranting about, is how he deals with those things, that he could easily just solve a situation. He could easily just solve it, but he kind of has that fiery personality in those moments. And so I thought the exact same thing all the way as you're thinking along. It's just what he said there weirdly reignited like some fondness towards him in some strange way. Do you know what I mean? It's
did he do it for Conte? When Conte did it have the same effect?
No, but my point is also that even though it ignited like warmth towards him, I still think it was going to be I still think it might get him. It might do the exact same thing that happened to Conte. I can see this being that he might only have like 4 months, of the new season to go, because this stuff does spiral. And sometimes I think managers should get a little bit of press training of how to just avoid tricks, how to avoid the press's trick into getting you to say something that is inflammatory. Because who really wins out of this? All the articles, all the press, all of Talk Sports got so many viewers watching it. Who's really winning here? Not Spurs. Not
He's long in the tooth, Brains. He's long in the tooth. We're not talking about a 35, 40-year-old man.
No, he's not going to be told.
28-year-old guy who's a wise old. He's a wise man, right? You know, if you're going to take the plaudits and welcome them, you have to learn how to react to the negative connotations that are directed at you.
What I didn't like, obviously, I guess we'll get into his comments now, but what I didn't like...
I think we've been into them for the last 10 minutes, mate.
What I didn't like about his comments, I think what he says is probably correct in terms of the foundations of this club are fragile inside and outside the club. I don't think he's wrong in what he's saying, because I think that's something that we've known about this club for a very long time. It's something previous managers have called out about the club. Obviously, these stories now we're hearing about, staff members joking at him and things like that. Obviously, that's completely inappropriate for a football manager looking to win every single game, regardless of what the fans think. 100%, I believe Ange should be wanting to do everything he can to get every single point he can and win every single game he can in the Premier. He should be fighting tooth and nail, regardless of the scenario, to win every single game. That's 100%. That's what he's brought in here to do, to instill that mentality. What I didn't like about what he's saying is he said the last 48 hours have shown to me that the foundations of this club are fragile inside and out. I'm sorry, but what if the last 48 hours have shown to you that the foundations are fragile compared to the last 2 months, when we're getting battered left, right and centre, 4-0, 2-0, 4-0, 3-0 down in the North London derby? Did you not realise at that point that the foundations were fragile? Why is it when the fans, all of a sudden have
given up,
have given up, well, basically given up on top four after you've said that top four is not important anyway, when the top four's finally gone and we're about to gift Arsenal the title, essentially. Now all of a sudden you've decided that you've finally seen that the foundations are fragile. It just seemed to me that what annoyed me about that was it seemed as though he's frustrated at the defeat. He's kind of taking out on the fans, and maybe maybe that fan in the stadium was still in his mind when he was thinking, because he had that altercation with the fan, and that fan obviously was reportedly, according to reports, said that why are you so animated in this game when in the North London derby you were just standing there with the arms crossed, and in this game you seem very, very animated, which obviously I don't think the fan should be shouting things at a manager on the touchline, and apparently that fan was ejected, which is absolutely right. But I just don't like the fact that for me, that seemed to be a frustration pointed at the fans based on the current circumstances. And as an ambassador of the football club, you shouldn't be taking your frustrations out on the fans, despite the current circumstances, despite as well that he is right. And when it comes to the fragility inside the club, we have known that for a very long time, and all these stories now coming out are showing that. So I understand all of this stuff is in his mind going to his press conference. It's clearly built up, and he's kind of let off some steam. I get that, but when he's saying the last 48 hours have shown that, if he even said,
it's honed in, isn't it? Yeah.
If he would have said, it's clear to me that the foundations here are fragile, we wouldn't be having this conversation. The fact that he said the last 48 hours have shown me how fragile the foundations, that is what is basically told all the fans, this is your fault, essentially. That is what he's saying. This is down to the fans are causing this problem, essentially. Because what's the only thing that's happened in the last 48 hours?
We don't know, but that's the thing.
Well, it's the fan discourse. We haven't had a game.
It's not just the fan discourse, though. It's the discourse from the journalists. It's the discourse from the stuff that's happened inside the club.
But it's the discourse around this. But it's everything. The fans wanting the team to lose.
Yeah, but it's not just the fans. It's inside and outside. Like he said, he's talking about journalists. He's talking about people inside the club, like staff. He's talking about fans as well. And I think he's talking about how focused everyone inside and outside the club are focused around Arsenal and are focused around Arsenal's title charge. And I don't think he wants that to be part of the mentality of the football club. And I think that
Neither
is...
do we.
No, he doesn't want that.
We don't want that to be the focus. But for this specific game, it was, because that's where we are. So
I
focus.
I blame Scott Munn, because what happened is Scott Munn went up to him and said, And here you go. He goes, what's this? He goes, that's your budget. What? Are you having a laugh? That's my budget. Right? It could be anything, guys. Look, we are guessing, because what he did, he dropped the hand grenade, like I said, and he left the room, and he left us to ponder and digest it and come up with our own reasons. What was he talking about? Was he talking about Daniel Levy? Was he talking about the recruitment staff? Was he talking about the chef?
No, I don't think he was talking about any of that.
But we don't know. We don't know, Ben, do we?
I think Ben's guess is most accurate, because it just seems like he's going, why is the mentality like this? You know, because he is an outsider. He surely shouldn't get this mentality.
Inside and outside. He didn't say one thing. He said,
that's what I mean. But like what Ben was
inside and
saying
outside
is,
this club.
That's what I mean. He is saying that it's like the mentality around this situation is that there's a potential of, or even the jokes of, us like potential, and then the press picking up that Spurs fans might want to lose a game. You know, I just think that would have just annoyed him so much. And if someone inside the club mentioned that as well, it would have added up to it. Then a fan screaming at him. Then he's hearing City being stuck. You can imagine it all just adding a very different thing that he would have thought that he was coming to a club to do. If he's coming here to change a mentality, that I'm willing to not do set pieces, that I'm willing to just go forward at all time. I'm willing to lose games if it is a case of we are just going forward. We're not passing back. We're just going forward. That is like he's trying to change the mentality of like, we must just go forward. I know we're going to lose games, but if we go forward constantly, then it's okay to lose.
But Brains, can I just say, right, you know, if I get in my car and I go in my car and I'm doing 10 miles an hour, I'm moving forward. But what's the use when everyone else is moving at 60 and 70 miles an hour, you know?
You got crash.
No, but what I'm saying is, you know, like, you know, there's moving and then there's moving. I just think that, you know, that there's more to this. There's more to this story than meets the eye, in my opinion.
It could be very much.
At the end of the day, I think what his rant did, whether you think it's justified or not, it ignited this whole kind of discourse that we're seeing. And I think that it could have been so easily avoided if he just didn't mention anything in that press conference after the game. And I think everyone would just be normal right now. I don't think it would have created this whole big car crash of conversations that we're seeing of vitriol and hate on a consistent basis.
Ben? What would we
All
be
he just
saying,
said, just don't mention 48 hours, and I think
No
one would have cared.
You don't need to say anything. What we would have come away with, what I would have come away with from that game, great. You know, Dragusin, what a great first half. You know, how was he feeling? Look, I think there's discord somewhere within that camp. You know, let's be honest. If Destiny was there, Dragusin would still be sat on the bench. Giovanni Lo Celso, doesn't matter how bad everyone plays, he'd rather bring on Brian Gill and bring Gio on for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, right, every game. Sure. There's got to be some discord there. I don't know what it's about. I really don't. But there is something going on there. But like we said, like Ben said, like we've all said, had he not said anything or flipped in that moment, right, then we would be sitting here saying, you know what, we're going to finish fifth. And we can really see some shoots of recovery. There was some great things to look at. The back three with Dragusin, Romero and Mickey van der Ven. Instead of talking about that, instead of talking about the fact that Mikey Moore broke the record at 16 years and 9 months coming on, which should have been the things that we were talking about, we're left talking about the negatives instead of the fantastic positives that we could have taken and should have taken out of that game. And that is Ange's fault. That is not my fault. That is not Brain's fault. It's not any of our fault, and we were all in that stadium.
But I think what Ange is trying to do, what message he's trying to cross, is that he needs to change the mentality at this football club, and that is the conversation we're going to turn on to next. And can he change the mentality at this football